boy's dream come true. Its walls and domes and towers and minarets moved along like a hymn, and the sight of it made me catch my breath. The city still has its gates as in the olden days, like the Lion's Gate. Then on down along the walls, the big Damascus Gate, turrets and all, right out of a picture book. I never saw such narrow streets. I think they ought to have been a little wider, so at least I could know which side I was walking on. There was no room for carts or automobiles, but there was plenty of traffic. I pushed through crowds of people. I dodged between lemonade dealers and water pipe smokers. I saw goats and donkeys right out in the middle of the street. Then I got a ride on a donkey. It made driving a Jeep seem like a trip to heaven. Jerusalem the Holy, a holy city for three great religions. I visited, of course, the famous Dome of the Rock, or the Mosque of Omar, as they call it, which stands on the site of King Solomon's temple. Inside the dome is the rock where Abraham prepared to sacrifice his son Isaac. We looked out on other mosques in the temple area. We saw the Mount of Olives and other famous landmarks rising around the city. They looked just as I had pictured them from the stories in the Bible. And there was the little town of Bethlehem, where David and Jesus were born. We saw the Garden of Gethsemane. Then we went down and walked among the olive trees, as old as the hills themselves. We climbed down into the tombs of the old Jewish kings, tombs carved thousands of years ago out of the solid rock, huge halls and rooms and galleries dug underground. I don't know how. Then, suddenly, here was a Jerusalem I never heard about in Sunday school. The big modern Jewish agency building, which is the headquarters for all the work of rebuilding Palestine as a homeland for the Jewish people. It was from this building that we started out on a tour of the land. No more walking. We left Jerusalem behind us, getting a last view at its hills dotted with ancient shrines, worn beautiful with age, and looking what they were, a part of the world's most famous history. Then we started down and down towards the Jordan River and the Dead Sea. Mile after mile we drove down the most desolate, God-forsaken valley a man could imagine. Nothing, I was sure, could ever be made out of a country like this. We dropped until we reached sea level. Then we dropped some more, 4,000 feet altogether, until at last we reached the Dead Sea, the lowest point on the face of the earth. Near the shore, we passed the potash works, where the Jews are digging 100,000 tons of potash a year from the salty beaches. And then, out of nowhere, there was a bright green meadow, and through it walked the young leader of a new Jewish settlement. He told us about a modern miracle.
4 years ago, 150 of us, young pioneers, dug irrigation ditches through this worthless salty ground and flooded it with fresh water from the Jordan. We soaked the salt out of it for months on end. Then the clean sun-cracked earth began to push forth green blades, and the tender stalks grew up into fields of grain and fruit and vegetables. Everybody told us it could not be done, but we did it. We did it with hard work, and we worked hard because we had faith in Palestine, in the Jewish people, and in ourselves. We call our settlement Bet Ha'arava, which means the house in the desert. Everybody told us we could not raise cattle in this sun-baked desert, but we did that too. These Dutch cows look contented even when the thermometer climbs as it does in summer to 118 degrees. Perhaps they too have the Jewish faith and will to live. Where have these pioneers come from? Many of them are refugees from Europe who landed at Palestine ports like Haifa. They are then sent by the Jewish agency to a reception camp. There they are prepared for the new world they will help to build. There are 100,000 youngsters like these who are still wandering homeless in Europe. There are 1 million uprooted Jews who look to Palestine as their only hope. These are the lucky ones who will never be homeless again. Ready to leave the camp, they peer through the gates at the free land they are about to share, their eyes laughing with hope or clouded with wonder. Soon they spread to all parts of the country. Some, like the 70-year-old Fritz Lowenthal, a famous nerve specialist from Vienna, have returned to the soil. At Ramat Hashavim, the hill of those who return, he and other professional men have established the largest poultry ranch in Palestine. Others, like Professor Emanuel Goldberg, the inventor of the famous Contax camera, continue in their former work. He now makes optical and precision instruments in Tel Aviv for the Allies. Most of Jewish industry in Palestine devotes a large part of its output to the war effort. People like us, 600,000 strong, are doing every day what could not be done to bring back fertility and industry, to bring back life to this old land of ours, and build a country where we Jews can be productive and free and happy.
He'd given me a lot to think about. As I cooled off with some beer, it began to dawn on me that my pass to Palestine was not a pass to yesterday, but a pass to tomorrow. Yet when we left the Dead Sea and our truck headed north toward the Lake of Galilee, I ran again smack into the long ago past, into a run-down and worn-out land, where the men had used up the earth and then given it back to the camels. Here, as in most of Palestine where the Jews haven't settled as yet, the Arabs earn a living, with sweat too, the hardest way. Their tools are primitive, I guess the same as Abraham used to harrow the ground and winnow the grain. And it was Father Abraham himself who took took his time about filling the sacks with barley. Just down the road a piece, we passed again from yesterday to tomorrow. We met a modern tractor, and then on the edge of the fields, a Lend-Lease harvester. The best machinery, working just as it does in Kansas. When we saw green fields and a modern village called En-Ged by the shore of Galilee, I knew we were back among the Jews. The leader of the settlement, Ted Collick, answered a lot of our questions about En-Ged.
We're the first and only Jewish outpost on the east shore of Galilee. Thanks to our machinery, this year we raised 250 tons of bananas and 180 tons of other fruits and vegetables. No, we didn't do it all alone. Behind us, as behind all the agriculture and industry of Palestine, is science. Behind us is the Hebrew University. There on Mount Scopus, the technical groundwork is laid for the miracles we are performing today and the greater ones we will perform tomorrow. There we train not only the minds of our youth, but also their bodies. There, as in all the Jewish colonies of Palestine, our young men and our young women are strengthening themselves for the conquest by muscles and sweat of the hard and stubborn soil. Behind us, in the town of Rehoboth, are the Daniel Zief Research Institute and Dr. Weitzman's home and laboratory. Here, he and his aides are seeking to find new and cheap sources of food for all the world, as well as for Palestine. Behind us, too, is the Jewish Agency's Agricultural Experiment Station. Day by day, our scientists are waging war against the insects, fungi, and microbes that blight our crops. They are working out new methods for us to increase our yields and make more room for more people. And behind them is the United Palestine Appeal, asking more people to give more money so as to make more room for all Jews. At our side, or maybe I should say marching on ahead of us, are our boys and girls to whom all this knowledge and skill is given as part of their daily schooling. When the study period is over, the young people go out into the fields. School and work, learning and living are to them all of one piece. Whether they are plowing the ground, or digging up onions, or hoeing, or raking, their work brings them a deeper love and understanding of the land. We live for these boys and girls, because someday they are going to live in our stead, and we hope live fuller and better. They are pressing eagerly on beyond the yesterday of camels and wooden plows. In our great public health system, our doctors give of their science and skill to the Arab as freely as to the Jew. Not some of us, but all of us must be healthy if the land is to prosper. Rothschild Hadassah University Hospital in Jerusalem is the largest and finest institution of its kind in the whole Orient. 25 years of our battle against disease has made Palestine the healthiest country in the East and one of the healthiest in the world. And behind this great healing of the land, as behind our farming and our industry and our commerce, is the indispensable help that comes to us from America, from the Jews there of every state and every town. But we want more from your America than your gifts. We want some of your own people to work by our side. We want another Henrietta Zoll. The hospital where she died is a monument to her work and a challenge to your spirit. All of this lies behind our village of En-Ged, just as it lies behind the 300 other settlements we Jews have built in the land of Israel. When our work bell is rung, our village goes to work on a cooperative communal basis. We're making advances not only in science, but in our way of living. We make our shoes. We sew our garments as we ply all our trades not for individual profit, but for the common good. We prepare our meals in common. We have our clothes washed in a common laundry. And someone is daily assigned the job of cleaning the shoes for all the babies in the settlement. Tens of thousands of us live this community life on a land bought by the Jewish National Trust and belonging not to us, but to the entire Jewish people. We weave our own fish nets. Our community was the first to take up fishing in Palestine. See those patches of green on the hills across the lake? They are new young forests planted by new young Jews. Our fishing industry is homemade. We even build our own boats. And the catch here and down the Jordan and off the Mediterranean coast nets in hundreds of tons a year. Of course, fishing is nothing compared with our other industries. Last year, Jewish Palestine produced about $180 million worth of goods. It is a growing land, a land big with promise. But we don't work all of the time. When the day of rest comes, there's swimming and stickball for the kids, the game you Americans taught us. And there's dancing the hora, something the kids like to think is music. And best of all, I guess, is lying about in the warm, bright sun with the family and just resting.
The words of Ted Collick stayed with us as we left the lake and took the truck on westward. We could see what he was talking about in the building going on all along the way. Right under our eyes, roads were being paved. People were living in tents while they constructed houses and villages. A new world was being created that someday ought to equal the best we've got at home. I never saw the building of our West, but it must have been something like this. I saw watchtowers to guard the new villages from the Arabs, and the graves, too, of some of the men who died defending their homes. For this land, like our own, is being built not only with sweat, but with blood. Men have to have courage as well as strength to build up almost overnight lovely villages and towns like these. We ended up in the biggest city in Palestine, the all-Jewish city of Tel Aviv. You've got to come from North Africa, as I did, or maybe from Arkansas or Tennessee, to realize what a wonder city it is. I remember we first went to the Services Club, where we washed and shaved. We got a good look, at the Palestinian wax. Pats, they call them. And then we set out to see the city. Tel Aviv, I believe you've heard, is about the most modern city in the world. There just are no old parts. I guess it's a preview of what cities will be like the day after tomorrow, with broad streets, streamlined buildings, block upon block of them. But mixed up with the Fifth Avenue buses, wandering in from yesterday are camel trains, loaded with all kinds of freight. As I walked about the streets of the city, Dizengoff Circle, Allenby Avenue, Rothschild Boulevard, and saw the fine-looking houses and cool lanes and shady gardens, I didn't wonder that the people there were proud of what they had built. For the whole city was nothing but a long stretch of sand dunes 40 years ago, and now it has 175,000 inhabitants living in houses like these. It has a theater called the Habima, handsomer than any I saw in New York, and a museum, once the home of a poet named Bialik, and a big city hall. I spent an afternoon on a beach we'd be proud of in Florida. If I stayed much longer, I'd begin to brag about the place like they do. But they've got more to think about than bragging. When I saw the beach crowded with happy men and women and children, I wondered how often they took time off to think back to Germany or Poland or Romania, back to the horrible life and more horrible death that their little children had escaped from forever. These children, I thought, never knew, or I hope at least most of them didn't, and they needn't ever worry about such things in the future. But the other children, and their folks, who are still over there in Europe, I wondered if they were ever going to get to play on Tel Aviv beach. It seems to me that every Jew with red blood in his veins ought to work and fight and help to salvage the wreck of the Jewish people, and bring the survivors on the shore of a land that's their own. Looking at those children, I got a feeling of what a land Palestine can be tomorrow. There aren't any better youngsters in the world. And if they get the right backing, they'll make a country the world and the Jews can be proud of. If I knew how to say it, I'd beg you folks to help those kids grow and work and build. Help them, I'm told, in the best way we Americans can by responding to the United Palestine appeal. I'm sure that in return, they will respond to you in the best way they can. They'll build a land of tomorrow for the Jewish people, a strong and healthy and beautiful land. And then among the flags of the free nations of the world will fly the Jewish shield of David.